Hi, I'm Jeremy. Why would you spend 2 days on a trip that you could do in just 3 hours? Because taking the Amtrak train across America is great fun. This is what happened when I took the Empire Builder from Seattle across America, and why I recommend it to you. The Empire Builder is an Amtrak train service that departs once per day in each direction between Seattle and Portland and Chicago. It takes about 46 hours. In either direction, you leave in the afternoon and arrive 2 days later in the afternoon. Our trip was in April and went from Seattle as far as St. Paul, Minnesota. We had a Superliner Roomette and spent 2 nights aboard the train. In this video, I'll tell you all about the trip, including the route, the food, the people, and the experience of seeing America by Amtrak, which cannot be compared to any other form of travel. We flew from Osaka, Japan to Seattle and found a train from the airport into the city. They even rolled out a special welcome for me specifically. Thanks, Sound Transit. The Amtrak station is in Seattle's Chinatown. We didn't have much time to spend there, so we strolled around the area a little bit, checking out the shops and restaurants and quirky street scenes, and finished in a Starbucks. I mean, hey, it's Seattle after all. From all around Chinatown, you'll be able to spot this tower. Just follow it to Amtrak, for this stately edifice hovers above King Street Station. Inside, King Street Station is still majestic. The lights and the furnishings and the glossy white walls reach way back into the past, an era where people regularly rode Amtrak. It was a time when the train was a viable and popular way to move across vast regions of the country, when it was known by all as a journey filled with high points. And hey, it still is. The Empire Builder remains the only way to see huge sections of the north part of the USA in such a steady but effortless way. Just look at the other destinations departing from this station. All of them are in the immediate Pacific Northwest. Only the Empire Builder puts in the effort to cross the American time zones. Soon the train arrives, the doors open, and you step aboard. The adventure is just beginning. The Empire Builder moves through some stunning scenery, and we'll get to that soon. But as a passenger, your time is spent inside the train. Who cares if you're 275? Let's take a look at life aboard Amtrak. This is the corridor beside the bigger and more expensive private rooms. The dining car is, of course, a particularly important one. I'll go over Amtrak food a little later too. These seats are the cheapest way to ride Amtrak. They're large, and I saw a lot of passengers stretched out sleeping over 2 of them since the train was far from fully booked. They're not luxury maybe, but could be comfortable enough if you're into this type of travel. We spent much of our time in the so-called Lounge Cafe, which is the observation car. This is where riders gather to chat with temporary new friends and admire the passing scenery through big windows. As you can see, it was overcast on this day, but that isn't really the point on Amtrak. Here, life slows to the rhythms and pace of the train itself, and you experience the landscape just as the locomotive does, in whatever form the countryside chooses to take that day. As you watch the world roll steadily by, find various things to occupy your mind. Investigate the stains that look like people. Try to stir up trouble with the staff. Be safe and explore the exits that lead to... Wait, that's weird. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave? One vital form of entertainment aboard the train is the many stops that you make. In addition to admiring the names themselves, cut bank. You get to daydream about what life in these unknown outposts is like. Even when there doesn't seem to be much happening, you wonder, who gets off here? What is there to do? Should I come back here someday and explore it myself? Speaking of stops, most of the time they take a minute or two, but every now and then the train rests for 10 or 20 minutes or more. Some people call these smoke stops because there is no smoking anywhere on the train. And even if you don't smoke, these are a good chance to hop off and stretch and get some fresh air. And when you get back on, the train leaves that station behind, and yet again you're sitting on board, watching the slowly unfolding world outside. Even when the scenery is less than thrilling, you can be comfortable aboard the train. We certainly were in our Superliner Economy Roomette. Here's a look at Superliner Roomette, which is a small private compartment with its own window and a door that closes and latches. There are 2 seats that face each other, and not much more room than that. This thing folds down into a bed at night, and I'll cover sleeping on Amtrak a little bit later. There's a closet that comes in handy if you're traveling with a manta ray. There's a coat hook whose design I found kinda cool. There's a cabin light, and each seat has its own control panel with private lights. This music control looked promising, but I couldn't get it to work. So much for my dream of cranking Black Sabbath at full volume for the entertainment of my fellow passengers. The power outlet worked, but it's the only one in the compartment. This temperature control didn't work either. There is an air vent on the ceiling, though I couldn't figure out whether even it was operational. At any rate, I found the temperature on board to be fine, even if the air itself was a bit lived in. The table that folds down between the seats is good for snacks or drinks or even an occasional game. I assume you always carry checkers when you travel. The most expensive rooms have full, if cramped, private facilities, but ours were shared. At the end of the cars and on the lower level are several bathrooms and some shower rooms. The shower water was hot and there's free soap and towels. Anyway, the compartment is snug, but it's cozy. Sit back, put your feet up in the other person's way, play pointlessly with the controls that don't do anything, and get lost in the drifting world outside your private window. If you're like me, then the scenery will be the highlight of the Empire Builder, and it varies quite a bit. First, right outside Seattle, the train hugs the coast for a short bit, and if you're on the left side of the train, luckily we were, you'll be gazing at the gentle and gray waters of Puget Sound, especially mesmerizing when you're jet-lagged. Soon you turn inland and spend hours pushing forward through the state of Washington, which is called the Evergreen State for good reason. The snow-covered white mountains against the blue sky and the bright green trees make for quite a serene voyage. For most of this first day, you're passing through the vast hilly forests. In Spokane, a branch of Empire Builder that leaves from Portland joins the train, and there's a short section in Idaho where the train turns northward towards the Canadian border. But all of that's in the middle of the night. You'll probably be sleeping. But early the next morning, now in Montana, you'll see one of the famous highlights of the Empire Builder. You skirt along the southern boundary of Glacier National Park. Nearby snowy mountains loom above the train, which chugs along as the passengers gawk and snap photos through the dirty windows. It's great fun. Montana is a big state, and that's mostly what you'll be seeing on day 2. Big Sky Country is gorgeous, even when it's featureless. There's always something to gaze at. You'll see animals. You'll pass other trains, some curled up like sidewinders waiting to strike. You'll see how locals interact with the land. Farmhouses in vast fields, rusted husks from the golden age of American automobiles chucked into a stream. And in the east, small oil fields with their eternal flames blazing atop poles and enlivening the evening sky. Gradually, dusk falls, and as the hills and trees fade from blue into blackness, it's time for dinner. Yes, it's time to talk about the food on Amtrak. There are 3 meals a day, all served in the dining car. With our sleeping compartment tickets, all the meals were included, which was good. The prices on the menu were between $20 and $40 per meal per person. That could add up over a few days. The good news is that Amtrak food is excellent. There's a choice for each meal, different breakfasts, simple but tasty dishes like taco salad for lunch, and really delicious dinners. I had the Norwegian salmon twice, it was so good. And the steak is even more famous. Alcohol is available if you want it, but costs extra. This California beer was $8 a bottle. Either way, bring cash. Table service is friendly and tips are appreciated. A great feature of Amtrak's dining system is that there are always 4 people to a table. That means if you're traveling with fewer than 4, you'll be seated with strangers at each meal. Conversations inevitably break out as everyone talks about their trip and their experiences aboard the train. For example, we met someone visiting his daughter and new grandson in Spokane, a lady taking Amtrak back to Minnesota after flying to Seattle to see her sister, and even a younger Chinese guy traveling solo by train all the way to New York City. Desserts, incidentally, are included in the price too, but diabetic or not, know what you're getting into. Yikes! There's also food available between meals. In addition to all the free bottled water you want, there are simple drinks and snacks available from a small shop downstairs in the observation car. You have to pay, but sitting around all morning and afternoon sipping hot Amtrak coffee, or bottles of Corona, as I noticed one contented-looking younger guy with a beard and a tie-dyed headscarf doing, is absolutely worth the expense. Despite promises on Amtrak's website, there is no Wi-Fi on the train, at least on our trip in 2019. And I couldn't find a movie theater or bowling alley on board, so things wound down in the evening pretty early. In our berth, this thing comes down to make the top bed. Whoever is sleeping up there has to climb up, and if you had plans to get in some yoga or twister, I've got bad news for you. But there's a cool belt to make sure you don't roll off in the middle of the night. The 2 seats slide together to form the bottom bed, and you throw a thin mattress on top to make it comfortable. The bottom bunk has a view out the window, but the top doesn't. But hey, there's a rad purple nightlight if you want it, and the person on the bottom, of course, has their own light, plus room to sit up and have one last blood sugar check before bed. This was a good one. And so I laid back and watched the few lights in the starry black North Dakota night pass quietly by. The train bounced gently through the darkness. It was just like the song says, "The rhythm of the rails is all they feel. All was right with the world. Good night, America." Something wild and unexpected happened early on the morning of day 3. As it happens, the Empire Builder makes a hard turn south at Grand Forks, North Dakota, on its way to Fargo, where it turns east again towards St. Paul. For that short stretch, if you have a room on the left side of the train, and if you get up early enough, you'll be treated to a spectacular American sunrise. We even had a perfect sliver of a moon on our morning. How's that for lucky timing? For 30 minutes I sat up in my bed, transfixed by all of this happening outside the window. Orange and yellow slowly bled into the deep blue sky, which lightened up to illuminate misty fields, wandering deer, ponds, rivers, and lakes, and the few souls already out and about in the ghostly dawn. At this hour, something as mundane as a golf course is transformed into a wild landscape of cosmic weirdness. I could imagine Calvin and Hobbes crash-landing their spaceship here. That's the sunrise. And this is the blood sugar check. Well, I don't care. That's the sunrise. After a quick final breakfast, during which another passenger gave me his grapes as we chatted about his hometown of Minneapolis, we got off the train at St. Paul, where the Twin Cities Amtrak station is located. Union Depot, like the station in Seattle, is another beautifully preserved relic from the golden age of rail travel. Gigantic vaulted ceilings and stately touches offset the fact that the station hadn't really come to life yet today, and the fact that the main hall was frustratingly off-limits. On a bench, a young woman called angrily to someone. When I turned around to see who she was yelling at, nobody was there. She was ranting to herself. I wondered how she ended up in the Amtrak station at 7:30 on a Sunday morning, aggrieved and monologuing. As in Seattle, we didn't have much time to hang around. All we really saw in St. Paul was a distant glimpse of the Mississippi River. Yes, it extends all the way up here. And the hip-looking areas between the train station and the airport, where we had a flight waiting. And just like that, we were soon on a speeding plane which shuddered slightly and quit the earth, dipping its wings so we could bid one last thankful farewell to St. Paul and the Mississippi River, and to Union Depot somewhere down there, and to the whole wide, friendly landscape of the northern states that we'd just been through, and of course to the long and narrow train track that carried us, slowly and happily, on the Empire Builder through it all. Why would you take 3 days? Why would you take 2 days? This is what happened when I took the Empire Builder on Amtrak. Why would you spend... Because taking a trip across America is an adventure. And this is why I recommend it to you. And why I recommend it to you. I don't like the insincerity of that.